Hi everyone, welcome. It's Juliet here. Today we are going to learn how to make this gorgeous pendant, which is something a little different. I haven't done a ton of pendants on this channel, so I'm pretty excited about it. And the thing I like about it is the way it's kind of shaped. So it does lay flat, but these pearls kind of make these bits stand up and then these bits go in, so it's kind of got a nice shape to it, I think. And this is made using supplies out of Potomac Beads treasure box for the month of September Ocean Vault. You may have the box, and if you do, you can make it in the colors that I'm making it in. If you do not have the box and you're interested in finding out more about it, I'll put a link down below for that. And if you don't have the box, you may have, the supplies already, or you may want to make it in a different color. I mean, that's up to you. So the supplies are pretty readily available, and I'll put links for everything on the Potomac site down below that I'm using. Okay, so let's quickly run through the materials. So I am using some 15-0s, and these are not in the box. That's the only thing that didn't come in the box. That and the chain, I just put it on a ready-made chain because I didn't want to detract from, I felt like if I beaded a chain, it was going to be too much. Like I just kind of like the more simple chain with it. I don't want to detract from it, so okay, so you're going to need some 15-0s. I'm using Miyuki in 4203. It's up to you, whatever brand 15-0, whatever color you want to use. Okay, then we are also using, these are some 6mm pearls that came in the box, and these are the pastel green, and these I believe are still available on the Potomac website, so you can get those if you want to make, in the same color that I'm doing. Then I have two different colors of 4mm Bicones. So I am using this is the Montana that came in our box, and then this is called Opaque Fern. Okay, so Montana and Opaque Fern, and again both of those Opaque Fern AB, so both of these are still available on the Potomac website as well. Then here we have some StormDuos, and these are in metallic emerald. Okay, we also have here some 8-0 beads. These are Azuki. These came in the box. These are silver lined aqua, so any kind of 8-0s will probably work. And then I am also using one of these 10mm Firepolished beads that we got a whole strand in our box. Okay, just for the drop. Just thought that would be pretty like that. And for my thread today, I am actually using some 1G because of the color. And also we're going to be going through the 15-0s several times, so you need to use something that's a little thinner, which is why I'm using 1G. If you're using something like Fireline, I would use the 4-pound, or if you could use dragon thread. I'm running really low on dragon thread, so I'm trying to save it because they don't have any in stock at the moment, so I don't want to use up the rest of my dragon thread and then not have any, so that's why we're doing something a little different. Okay, I've got to try and find the end on here. Okay, so get about 4.5 feet of thread on your needle, and I'm using a size 10 beading needle today, but you might want to have an 11 on standby, like I said, because of all the 15-0s we'll be going through. Just in case, you might just want to have that on standby. Okay, all right, I'll get threaded up and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I've got my needle threaded, and I'm just going to bring you in a little closer so you can see a little better. We're going to begin by picking up 8 of our inner color of Bicone. So these are 4mm. So you're going to pick up 8. Okay, push it down and leave a 4-inch tail, and you're going to sew up from the short end. You're going to sew up through all 8 again in order to form a circle. Okay, and here is my short end on the left hand side here. I'm going to sew up from where I'm coming out into the next bead in order to close up that gap. Okay, so you should now have a ring of 8 beads like this, 8 bicones. And just be careful with the bicones. Remember that crystals can be sharp. You can cut your thread, so just be super careful while you're sewing through them. Okay, all right, so we're going to pick up 115.0 and we're going to go straight into the very next bicone, and we're going to do that all the way around. So go ahead and add 115.0 in between every single gap. Okay, okay, and once you have an 15.0 in between every single bicone, you're going to, so you should be coming out from a bicone, because I just added this one here. I'm coming out from the bicone, so into the next 15.0, so that you're coming out from a 15.0, okay? And then we're going to pick up a 15.0, an 8.0, and a 15.0, and then our second color of bicone. So 15.0, 8.0, 15.0, bicone. You're going to sew into the very next over 15.0. Then you're going to reverse that. So you're going to pick up a bicone and then a 15.0, 8.0, 15.0. Okay, so bicone first, then 15, 8, 15. And you're going to sew into the very next 15 like this. And we're going to do this all the way around, and we're going to keep swapping. So here we're going to pick up first our 8.0, so 15, 8.0, 15, and then a bicone. And then next we're going to reverse. We're going to pick up the bicone first. So bicone and then 15, 8, 15. Okay? And you're just going to keep going the whole way around. Just keep swapping, and just remember that the 8.0 has a 15.0 on each side of it, okay? So keep going all the way around. Okay, so I'm about to put the last set of beads on. You're just going to go through that 15 at the base there, okay? So it should now look like this, and you're going to move forward until you exit from the bead that is between the two bicones. Okay, so just move forward through the next bicone and 15.0 like this. Okay, and then you can sew up through that bicone and through the 15.0 at the top of the bicone. Okay. All right, so now we're going to start picking up our StormDuos. So StormDuos have an outside and an inside. So this curve like here and there, I would call the outside, okay? And the curve that scoops inwards, I'm calling the inside. So it's either a hump or a scoop, okay? You're either, this would be the scoop and that would be the hump. So that is going to determine which side of your StormDuo you're going to go through. So we're going to go through the hump, okay? So I've entered into the hump right here, okay? Then we're going to pick up a bicone, which is the first color again, and then we're going into a scoop. So you're going in hump, bicone, and then scoop, okay? And then you're going to sew into the next 15-0. So I'm coming out right here, I'm going into the very next 15-0 here. So we have this, okay? And we're gonna do this the entire way around, and we're always doing hump, bicone, and then scoop, okay? So again, you're going in the humped side, picking up your bicone, and going into the scooped side. And then you're just gonna sew into the very next 15-0 that's like on the outside here, okay? So you're gonna have to do this 8 times to go all the way around. So remember, hump, bicone, scoop, okay? I think you've got that, so I'll let you get on with that. Okay, so I'm picking up my last set of StormDuos and Bicone, and I'm going to sew into the little gold bead right here. So it should now look like this, okay? I'm just gonna see if I can get rid of this little patch of light, and I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, I think I fixed it, unless the sun moves again. All right, so go ahead and sew through the StormDuo, the Bicone, and the StormDuo right after where, so I'm coming out right here. So I'm just sewing through those next few beads, oops. Trying to not get caught here. So through the next little 15-0 and the next StormDuo as well, and the next Bicone. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are exiting from a Bicone that is above the other Bicones right here. Okay, so you want there to be Bicones here. All right, we are going to pick up 3 15-0s. Okay, so 3. And you're going to sew into the outer hole on the next StormDuo. Like this. Okay. Then you're going to pick up 1 15-0 and you're going to sew through the next StormDuo. You're going to pick up 1 15-0, 1 6mm pearl, and 1 15-0. Okay, and you're going to sew into the next StormDuo. You're going to pick up 1 15-0, sew into the next StormDuo. You're going to pick up 3 15-0s. You're going to sew through the Bicone that's between the 2 StormDuos like this, okay? And then you're going to pick up 3 more and sew into the outer hole of the StormDuo. So it should look like that, okay? Then you're going to repeat this all the way around. So every time you're between these 2 StormDuos, you're always going to add 1 15-0. And then every other time, you're either going to add a 15-0 purl 15-0 like this, okay? So 15-0 purl 15-0 to get over there, or you're going to add the 3, go through the here and here. So now I have to add my 15-0 here, and then I'm going to do 3, 3, add a 15-0, and then I'm going to do 15-0 purl 15-0, 15-0 3, 3. Okay, so you're going to do that all the way around. Okay, and then when you get back to the beginning, you'll be adding your last 3 and going through that bicone. So it should now look like this, and it is a little bit wavy at this point, which is good. You want that. It should be a little bit wavy, okay, because that's what gives it this nice shaping, okay. So you should be coming out from a bicone above these green bicones here, okay. We are going to sew through the bottom hole of this StormDuo and the next 15-0. Okay, so you're sewing through the StormDuo and the 15-0. Give that a nice little tug. Then you're going to pick up 4 15-0s. Okay, so 4. Coming out from this 15-0, see the 15-0 between the 2 StormDuos directly above. I'm going to sew into that StormDuo plus, sorry, that 15-0 plus the StormDuo plus the next 15-0 right before the purl. Okay, so 15-0, StormDuo, 15-0. Okay, so that's going to put that little line going up through those beads there. Then you're going to pick up 9 of your 15-0s. Okay, so 9. Coming out from the purl here, look directly down, sorry, right before the purl, look directly down, see there's 3 little 15-0s right here. You're going to go through the one that's in the middle right here. Okay, you're going to sew up the first 3 15-0s that you just added. So go up 3 and get, when you pull it, it should pull downwards, should kind of fit up against it. Okay, then we're going to pick up 6 of our 15-0s, because before we picked up 9, but we've already gone through 3 here, so we need to pick up 6. Okay, and you're going to sew into the 15-0 that's after the purl plus the StormDuo plus the 15-0 that's in between. So 15-0, StormDuo, 15-0. Okay. There we go. So that's going to create a kind of Y shape right here. Okay. Then we're going to pick up, so we're exiting from this 15-0, we're going to pick up 4 15-0s. So this is just like what we did here. We did 4 here. So you're going to pick up 4 and you're going to sew through the 15-0 directly underneath it. Okay. You're also going to sew through the StormDuo as well. Okay. So it should look like this, and it should sort of curve over. It's kind of curving. See that? That's what you want. Okay, then you're going to sew through this bicone right here. and through the StormDuo and through the 15-0 that's right here after this bicone and before that 8-0. Okay, so you're going to sew through that 15-0 and kind of pull. And then we're going to pick up 4 again of our 15-0s. Okay. And you're going to sew through the 15-0, the StormDuo, and the 15-0 before the purl. And you're just going to keep repeating for all 4 sides. So we're going to pick up 9. We're going to go down to here. Okay, so I've got my 9. I'm going through that one at the bottom. You're going up the first 3 of that group of 9 that you just added. So make sure you're not entering into the one that you just sewed through, or you'll just unsew it, okay? Just make sure you're just going through those ones that you just added. So you should be going through 3, and then you're going to pick up 6. And you're going to go through 15-0 StormDuo and 15-0. And then you're going to pick up 4. You're going to sew through this 15-0 down here. So I'm coming out here. I'm going to sew through the bottom 15-0 through the StormDuo, through this bicone, through the StormDuo, and the next 15-0. And then you're going to repeat. So you're going to pick up 4, go through these 3, pick up 9, go up 3, pick up 6, go through here, 4, and then through, travel through here and repeat one more time. Okay, so I'll do that off screen and I'll be back when I'm finishing my last group. Okay, so I've picked up my last group of 4 to go down here, and I'm going to sew through that 15-0 and the StormDuo just like what we have been doing. I'm going to go through the bicone as well, and it can be a little difficult to get in here now because we've kind of tightened everything up, so just take your time, don't cut your thread. Then you're going to pass through that StormDuo and through the 15-0 that's at the bottom of that line of beads. So make sure you're going into the one that's like attached onto the bicone and the 8-0, okay? Don't accidentally go through like the last one of those. All right, so you're going to move now forward through your 8-0 and your 2 15-0s and your bicone. So I'm going through the 8-0, these 2 15-0s, and this bicone, and then through this 15-0 that is in between my 2 green bicones right here. So you want to be exiting from that 15-0, okay? You're going to pick up 9 of your 15-0s. So you're going to pick up 9 of your 15-0s, and you're going to look here over to this next 15-0 that's next to the green bicones below the blue bicone here, and you're going to sew. So I'm coming out this one, I'm going to sew into that one. And it's going to put a little line going across like this, okay? Then I'm going to pick up, then I'm going to go down the last 2 15-0s on that string of 9. Okay, so go back through the last 2, Then you're going to pick up 7 of your 15-0s. Okay, so 7. And you're going to find the next group of green bicones. So that's this group here. I'm going to sew through that 15-0 right there. Okay. Then you're going to sew back through the last 2 15-0s you just added. Okay. You're going to again pick up 7. Again, you're going to look over to the next group where those green bicones are, and you're going to sew through there. Sew back through the last 2. Make sure you're not sewing through the corner one, or you're just going to undo everything you just did, okay? So just sew through the last 2 that were on the string of 7 that you just attached, okay? And then here we only need to pick up 5. You're going to do 5. And then you're going to sew down through the last 2, not counting the one that's down there. Okay, the last 2 on this string here. And you're going to sew through that bead right there. Okay. So it should now have this, okay? You're going to sew through this blue bicone and through this bottom 15-0 right here. And you may need to flip it over to the back to make sure you're going through the 15-0 that is between the 2 blue bicones, okay? So just check. You should be going out from that 15-0 that's like at the in between the bicones, okay? So go ahead and go out from there. And actually just flip over to the bag for now. It's a little bit easier for this bit, okay? So I'm coming out right here from this 15-0, okay? I'm gonna pick up 1 15-0, my last purl, and 1 more 15-0. And I'm going to look across the way, and I'm going to sew through the 15-0 that's on the other side. And you don't need to pull super tight. A tiny bit of thread may be showing, and that's okay. What you don't want to do is you don't want to distort your central ring, okay? So don't pull super tight here, and plus you don't want to cut your thread. Right? Then you're going to go back through the 15-0, the purl, and the other 15-0. Okay. And whatever side of the thread you're not coming out, so I'm coming out on the left, so I'm going to enter into the right of that bead, and I'm going to pop up towards the front of my piece. Okay, so I'm coming out of the front now. I'm going to pick up 2 of my seed beads, and I'm going to look here. So I have 5 beads that are not shared here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? I'm still moving in this direction. So I'm going to find bead number 2, so 1, 2, and I'm going to sew into bead number 2 right here. And so I have 2 beads coming from that bead that I was coming out of, and then I'm sewing through bead number 2. I'm going to pick up 1 bead, and then I'm going to count on this group of 5, 1, 2, and I'm going to sew into bead number 2. Okay. Then I'm going to pick up 2 15-0s, and I'm going to sew into the 15-0 between these 2 bicones right here. Okay, at the very base there. And you may need to switch to a smaller needle if you're having trouble here, okay? Then you're going to sew back down through those two that you just added. And you're going to count 1, 2, you're going to sew through bead number 2 right here, okay? I'm going to pick up 1 seed bead, and then on this next group I'm going to count 1, 2, and I'm sewing into bead number 2 right here. I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads and sew through that 15-0 that's kind of buried in there, okay? Go back down the 2 that you just added. Count 1, 2, go into bead number 2 right here. Pick up 1 seed bead. Count 1, 2, go into bead number 2 right here. Pick up 2 seed beads. Go through that 15-0 at the base there. Go down those 2. Okay. Count 1, 2, go into bead number 2 right here. Pick up 1 seed bead, go 1, 2 into bead number 2 right here. And then we have to finish off by going up through the 2 beads right here, okay? And if you can, through that 15-0. And like I say, if you need to switch to a smaller needle, you can do that. Okay, so your middle should now look like this. You may need to just kind of give it a little massage if it's looking a bit funky or whatever, okay? And likewise for the sides, you can kind of massage them if they need it so that they look okay. All right, so now we just need to add on our drop and then make a bezel for the top. So to add our drop on, we're gonna sew down and then we're gonna exit out from this seed bead right here. So we're already coming out this bead here, so just sew through the Y. And I usually go up the left here, okay? And then sew out through this seed bead towards the pearl. Okay, so you're coming out towards the pearl right here. And then we're going to pick up, oh, I've forgotten how many, hang on. I think it's 7, yes, 7 of our 15-0s. Okay, so pick up 7. We're going to pick up a bicone. We're going to pick up our bead that we're using as our drop. If you have a different type of drop, you can obviously do this a little differently, you know, whatever works for what you're using. And then you were going to pick up 3 15-0s for the bottom, and you're going to go back up through the big bead and the bicone, and go ahead and pull that, and that should give you a nice little picot drop at the bottom like this. Okay, should look like that. And then we're going to pick up 7 again. We're going to enter into the bead that's next to the pearl, going away from the pearl and you can just kind of go through the next few beads as well, okay? And pull, and if you need to kind of balance that, just do what you need to get it the way you like it. Okay, so that is our bottom now on. What I did for my bail on this one is I actually used a new piece of thread for it. If you have enough thread, you can work your way over there. I don't really think I do, so I think I am going to use a new piece of thread here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to weave this in and tie it off, making sure that that stays nice and tight for that drop, okay? And then I'll be back to show you how to do the bail. Okay, so I've got a new thread on, and I am going to just sew through the pearl at the top in order to start our bail. Okay, so leave yourself a decent amount of thread, like 6 inches at the top, okay? You're going to pick up 14 of your 15 O's. So okay. All right, so you should have 14. So that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 14, okay? And you're going to sew into the pearl again, and it's going to form a little loop like this going over the pearl, and you need to hold your tail, just make sure it doesn't slip out, okay? Especially if you are using the same thread as me. I'm just going to quickly pour out a few more 15 O's because I'm not going to have enough otherwise. All right, so we're going to sew up through the first 7 15 O's. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're going to pick up 2, and then you're going to go down the next 7. Sorry, I got a little tangled up. You're going to pick up 2, and you're going to go down into the next 7. So straight into the very next bead and down all 7 of those. And just pull make sure you're kind of holding that tail tight as well, okay? All right, so here we're going to sew down until we get to the one right before the shared bead. So just sew down all of these until you get to this bead right here, okay? And enter in the top bead here from the pearl side. So you want to kind of go outwards, okay? And then you're going to go down those beads there, like that, okay? And we're just going to turn and go straight up the other side. And the bead that goes into the pearl, you're going to enter into from the pearl side going outwards. Okay, and then you're going to go up through the first 7 15 O's that we added. And then up through, so these are the 2, if you pull your tail, it'll pull those 2 together, okay? So these are the 2 that we just had added before, so you're just going to go up the one on the side that you're coming out from, which for me is my left side, probably you are also, okay? So now we're going to do a little bit of herringbone here. So pick up 2 seed beads and you're going to go down the next 2 beads, okay? Like this, and then you're going to turn and you're going to go up all 3 of those beads on the left hand side. So we're not adding anything, we're just, sorry, these are really small and it's kind of hard for me to get in there. There we go. Okay, so you're going to continue doing this until you have 8 pairs of beads, okay? So pick up 2, and now we're just going to go down 1 bead on the right, and then we're going to go up 2 beads on the left. Okay, again, pick up 2, go down 1 bead on the right and 2 beads on the left. Okay, so go ahead, add 3 more. Okay, so I've done 8, which is enough to go over my chain. Now, obviously, if you are hanging it on something else or you're doing a wider, maybe a beaded chain, you might need to make yours longer. So just make it as long as you need, but mine is 8 here, okay? So when you get to the length that you want it to be, you're going to pick up 7 more beads. Okay, so I'm coming out from the left hand side, so I'm just going to flip over and I'm going to enter into the purl on the same side that I am coming out of, okay? And that's just going to pull it like this, and then I'm going to pick up 7 more. And then I'm going to go up through all of the beads on the other side of my bail here, okay? So go through all of the pair of beads, okay? And just make sure that there's no slack in there at all, okay? Then you're going to pick up 180, and I'm just going to turn and I'm going to go straight back the other way over the top of the bail through all of those beads there. And this is where you also may need to downsize your needle if you're struggling to get through the beads this many times, okay? So that's going to sit right there at the top. Go through the purl again. And then you're going to reinforce the starting loop as well, the loop on this side, because we've only gone through this side once so far. We've gone through the other side twice. I'm just getting caught on everything here. Okay. And when you get back to here, go down through that very first bead on the side that you're on. go ahead and pass through the middle. You're going to go up the first unattached bead and the second bead. So the first bead that's not part of a pair, okay? And then go ahead and go up the next bead as well. Well, I'm just going to go up a few. It doesn't matter how many you go up, okay? Just go up some beads if you can get through them. And then you're just going to pick a spot, turn, and go down the other side. So just make sure you're going into the equivalent bead across from where your thread is coming out, and go down that side. Okay, I'm gonna have to switch to a smaller needle. Hang on one second. Okay, I've switched needles, so hopefully I'll get through. Yes, I did. And then you're just gonna work down here, and then we can tie a knot and weave in our ends. So just tie a knot with the beginning of that thread that we are using at the moment, okay? So I'm going to tie a knot with the thread that's coming out from the purl. Okay, so now with a needle, just thread both ends. You can run down these beads on the side or these beads here, wherever, and get away from your knot, and then you can cut it off, okay? Okay, so I finished my tying in and cut my threads off, and here is my pendant, and I think it's come out really nice. I really like the way the bail is at the top. I think it looks great, and yeah, I think the pendant itself is really cool. I like the way it kind of folds inwards, you know. Looks pretty neat, I think. Anyway, so have fun with this. Let me know if you make it, and if you make it in other colors, I'd love to see that. Join the Jules, and if you're on Facebook, I'd love to see you in the Jules and Rose Facebook. It's called Beading Buds, Jules and Rose's Beading Buds Facebook group, and you can, post your makes in there so everyone can see what it looks like in different colors. Okay, so now I have two. Yay. So I will see you guys very soon for another video. My schedule is going to be a little bit weird because we are having some work done outside and it is noisy, so my filming for the next couple weeks may be a little bit off schedule, but I'll try and still be posting regularly, just maybe not on specific days. Okay, all right guys, I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.